Howdy, and welcome to LeeReads, where I talk about the books I've been reading and enjoying lately. It has been a little bit over a year since I did a series check-in. When I went back to visit what series I was prioritizing at the time, it's been interesting to see which series have remained relevant and which ones have fallen down my lists a little bit. So I thought I would go through where I've made some progress, where my interest has faded, and then what my newer interests are. This is by no means going to be a summary of every series I've ever started, especially because I love fantasy and so many of them are not standalone. It's more of a check-in to see where I'm at, how have things changed, because I want to be spending my time reading books that I'm enjoying and excited about, not things that I feel pressured to read because I had it on a list a year ago, right? Everything can be flexible. Starting with the books that I was prioritizing a year ago that I've made some progress with, or that's still at the top of my interest list, would be things like The Children of Time. I think I've done well with this one. I am actually currently reading the third book of the trilogy and plan on completing it this month. So I think it's nice to start with a solid check mark. Yes, I actually continued to read the series and I'm going to be completing it soon. Same with Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. There are 4 novels in this series and each one has a novella that's semi-optional in between. The last novel is coming out later this fall, and I'm basically caught up except for that very last novella. So no, I'm not totally caught up, but I read several of the books in the series within this past year and made some really good progress, and I want to know how the series ends. Expeditionary Force, that is a long series that's going to take me some time to get through because I really like to use these books as breaks between more dense or serious topics because these books are just fun. That is what they are. They're not pretending to be overly serious. The adventure continues for Joe Bishop and his crew in space, and the universe is slowly unfurling with each novel. With the sense of humor, they're not ones that I can read back to back to back, especially with Skippy. And you'll know what I'm talking about if you know the series, but I really enjoy sprinkling them in. So I'm in no rush to get to these, and definitely I will be pulling them into my audiobook rotation. Legends of the First Empire, I haven't made a lot of progress. I've still only finished 1/3 of the series, so it's 6 books long. I've read the first 2, and I own most of them, and I'm on the 3rd book. So this one I will be continuing, although I had to laugh at myself last year. I said, yeah, I should be finishing this series by the end of the year. Never give stipulations or expectations like that. It just, for some reason, for me, when I make TBRs or something, that like kills the book. It like sends it to the graveyard. I don't know why my brain is like that, but it is. So not putting time pressures on, but yes, I'm still interested in Legends of the First Empire. There were 2 series from that video that I have decided not to continue. The first one may be a little bit controversial. The Farseer Trilogy by Robin Hobb. Because these books are intense. They're dark. I'm not in a place where I want to be spending my reading time feeling miserable about the book that I'm reading. And everyone talks about how awful Robin Hobb is to her characters. So I'm putting that trilogy down for now. I'll probably get to it in the future, but right now that's not really the experience I'm going for. Then another trilogy is The Winnowing Flame by Jen Williams. I finished the 2nd book and I just wasn't really feeling it anymore, wasn't too attached to any of the characters, and I decided to unhaul the trilogy to half-price books, so I don't even have those books anymore. Which is fine, because there's other series I'm really interested in continuing, such as Crown of Stars by Kate Elliott. I am on book 4 out of 7. I first read these books a long time ago. I think I was in early high school when I picked the first one up. Loved it, loved the 2nd book, but I got really upset at something that happened to one of the characters at the end of the 3rd book, and I just put the series down for a long time. Now I feel ready to pick it up again and find out what happens to everybody. Now that I'm rereading the beginning portions of the series as an adult, I really appreciate how Kate Elliott has wound in all these characters, all the plot points. Like, it's a really well woven tapestry of a series so far, and I'm only halfway through it. So these are ones I'm taking my time with, but I'm really glad that I've picked them up again. Now that I guess I've had some growth, but this series contains one of the best villains ever. Like, when this character reappeared on the page after a break, I like felt ill. It's an excellent villain, and somehow he's even worse now that I'm older. Stormline Archive by Brandi Sanderson, I am caught up on, which is excellent. I was so afraid of reading some of the other Cosmere novels because I didn't want any of the revelations to spoil stuff that might happen in Stormline Archive. But now that I'm caught up, I do want to dabble in reading more Cosmere. Murderbot, I am caught up with, and there's a new book coming out this fall, a novella I should say, which of course I will be reading. And The Greatcoats, I've only read the first book of this series, but it's very fun, swashbuckling, adventure, fighty type story. I own the second book, and if I enjoy that one, then I'll probably finish out the series for, you know, as long as I stay invested in the characters, because it just felt fun. It was just really fun, even though I normally don't enjoy reading books that focus so much on the actual fighting. Some of my favorite books of the year so far are actually openers to series, and I really want to mention them. The Will of the Many is the first book in the Hierarchy series. Very excited to finish that one. The Blighted Stars is also the first book in a series, and the second book in that one is coming out this fall, so you don't have long to wait. And also Justice of Kings, the third book in the trilogy, comes out I think early next year. So those are all more recent reads that I've been gobbling up what I can get of them, and I'm eager to find out what happens next. As far as series I haven't really started yet, but I'm hoping that I'll love, and I actually own the completed trilogies already. The first is science fiction, The Gate of Ivral. It's the Morgaine saga. She travels from planet to planet, closing these dangerous interstellar, interdimensional gates before they can damage the fabric of the universe. And the second is the Arthurian saga, The Crystal Cave by Mary Stewart, which is an Arthurian retelling focused on Merlin, but I also think it has kind of a romantic bent to it, and it's one I've had on my list for some time. I've just seen it so highly recommended. Those are the series that jump to mind when I think about what I want to be completing and working on. I know that I've forgotten things, but please let me know what series you're focusing on: science fiction, fantasy, historical, romance, whatever. I would love to talk to you about it down in the comments, and maybe I can add something to my TBR, my ever-growing TBR. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, don't forget to support your local library.